Fire and Blood. I'm gonna get right to the point and address what the problem is and the reason why this book fails. I would say it fails miserably, in my opinion. Because this is written in a, historical chronicle, if you would, and because we get mostly the perspective of historians and maesters and septons, because of this, we are kept away from all of these characters. We are always kept at a distance from these characters. We never really get to know these characters. We never have a personal, intimate moment with any of these characters. And that is why this book, Fire and Blood, fails, in my opinion. We get a few quotes here and there from these characters. We never really find out what's going on in their heads. We never really have a chance to see any internal monologues of any sort. And that is why, at least to me, because this is what happened to me. I don't care about any of these characters, period. To me, they're not really that fleshed out, which is insane because George Martin is one of the best, if not the best writers when it comes to character development and making 3D, three-dimensional human characters. And yet, to me, in this book, he fails miserably every single time when it comes to these characters. The fact that he chose to make this a historical chronicle told by various people who can't really be trusted because the maesters always, doctor history. You can't really trust any of these annotations. That is why, to me, Fire and Blood fails miserably. And I have to say this, okay? When it comes to this vast cast of characters, I only care slightly about our boy Jacaerys, or Jaehaerys, however you pronounce it. Jaehaerys the First, the Conciliator. I actually care about this guy. He was a good king. He was a good dude. And his life, when you really look at it, is a tragedy. And of course, Queen Alysanne, good Queen Alysanne, she's a good character. But Jaehaerys really was dutiful, and nothing but tragedy happened to him. I mean, at least half of his kids died, and another handful of kids, they were a menace to society, and another 25% they died in accidents, and another handful, they were just crazy people that did stupid things and embarrassed the family name. It's crazy. This guy suffered a lot, and he was a good person. And that is why, to me, he is the only sympathetic, more fleshed out, rounded character. Everybody else, unfortunately, isn't so impressive. Okay, but we're going to start from the beginning with Aegon's conquest. Okay. When it comes to Aegon and his two sister wives, right? And this is crazy, right? So from what I understand, 300 years ago, before our main story begins with Ned Stark and the rest, like Valyria, the Empire of Valyria was still popping off, major leagues, right? So a mere 300 years ago, we had this vast, hyper-advanced empire with, I don't know, hundreds or thousands of dragons at least, maybe even more than a couple of thousand dragons, right? And this vast empire of Valyrians, they basically, this empire was ruling the East completely. They were in charge because they had all of these dragons. And the first question that popped into my head was, okay, so this empire that has absolute power with these dragons, they're always in search of more and more slaves because, you know, they have all of these mines underground. But they never once thought to conquer Westeros. Never once did they think, oh, you see, that gigantic continent over there. It's some areas are extremely fertile and rich. Right? Because remember, Aegon and his two sisters conquered Westeros, a single continent with 3 dragons. That's all it took. And you're telling me this crazy empire with thousands of dragons never once thought, oh, let's go and take over Westeros. We're gonna finish it in like an hour, bro. Right? And this is yet again another writing mistake, if you would, on George Martin's part, because even in the main series of books, like all of these free cities, they keep fighting and squabbling with each other like a bunch of bitches instead of banding together and taking over Westeros. Because if you have been paying attention, ever since Aegon's conquest, Westeros has been embroiled in rebellions and petty wars and more wars and stupid succession crises. And essentially for hundreds of years at least in Westeros, people have been dying generation after generation at a crazy rate. So most of the men keep on dying. And you're telling me not a single ruling elite from one of these free cities was looking, hey, yo, Westeros is kind of dumb. We need to go over there and take over shit, right? It's so, you know, I don't want to call it a writing mistake. It is for the sake of plot convenience, right? For the sake of plot convenience. But what I will not accept from George R. R. Martin is this. He starts with Aegon's conquest, and immediately this is the most superficial writing he does. He doesn't go balls deep. He doesn't go all the way. And I hold a grudge against that, right? Like, we barely even have any dialogue from Aegon and his sisters. We never really know what they're thinking, right? They all of a sudden one day Aegon decides to take over Westeros, and that's it. See you later. And most of the pages regarding the conquest is about the conquest. For example, it is said that Aegon married Rhaenys for love and Visenya out of duty. And that's it. And to me, that is unacceptable. That is too that is not enough information. You can't do that, because obviously the first question is, why? Why did he do that? Right? And of course, Rhaenys is, you know, the bubbly social one that everybody loves, and Visenya is this, this spoiled sport, this killjoy who always has a constant resting bitch face. And I'm wondering why. Why is this reason? Why are these two such polarizing opposites. Because Visenya and Rhaenys grew up together with our boy Aegon. So why are they so different? And it seems like Visenya, in particular, has a grudge against Rhaenys. But we never really find out why. We never really find out why Visenya is so salty, right? I mean, now that I think about it, Visenya kind of reminds me of Stannis, because Stannis also always has, a chip on his shoulder, but Stannis is endearing. Stannis is, our boy. He's the Manus. We care about him because we know so much about him. Whereas when it comes to Visenya, we're like, we don't know nothing about this bitch, and she's so salty. Why? And this is why, this is what George Martin does. We never really get an exchange of dialogue between Visenya and Rhaenys. A big mistake, because from the dialogue, we could discern certain things. Okay? This is a big mistake on George Martin's part, maybe intentionally, right? But you cannot say, oh, you see, Visenya has this chip on her shoulder and we never understand why. These two sisters, they never have an exchange of dialogue. They never really have a scene together, only them two. Very strange. Whenever Martin writes about them, either they're doing something when it comes to the conquest, they're flying under dragons, they're fighting, or they have, a scene together with Aegon. They never have a scene to themselves, an intimate scene, a personal scene, so that we may understand what's really going on here. And when you really look at it, these characters don't even have time for dialogue, because they're always going off to war and shit, right? And then Rhaenys goes to to Dorne and allegedly dies. And, Aegon receives the letter and he shook for some reason. I mean, there's no really, there isn't any real secret when it comes to my view. Either Rhaenys died or she survived and she got tortured. and the reason why Aegon was so shook by the letter is because obviously Rhaenys was still alive and she was getting tortured, obviously. Right? But after Rhaenys allegedly dies in Dorne, nothing really improves when it comes to Visenya. She's still salty, and Aegon doesn't grow any closer to her, and we still don't really get any dialogue. You'd think that these two, Aegon and Visenya, would have a conversation about the fact that their sister got murked in Dorne, right, and probably is getting tortured. No, but we don't get any of that. This omission is extremely obvious, and it doesn't help the story in of itself. Okay? And Visenya keeps on being, this killjoy, even after Aegon dies eventually. To make matters worse, it's not enough. It's not enough that she's such a unappealing character. Yeah, she's super strong and she's just, oh boy, she's just steel incarnate. Yeah, nobody is denying the fact that she's a badass warrior, right? But even after her sister dies, she's still salty, and worse still, she has a kid, Maegor, who is probably the only one that can equal her in terms of saltiness, right? So now we have a male version of Bisenya, and her son also has a constant resting bitch face. And I'm just like, bro, right? You just know these people ain't right. These people just ain't right. You know, it seems to me that they have no joy in life. Visenya and Maegor, right? It's so perplexing, so perplexing. The saltiest woman in Westeros history produced the saltiest man in Westeros history. It's crazy, right? You know, and I love the fact that there is this not necessarily a succession crisis after Aegon the Conqueror dies, but you know, Aegon's first son, I forgot his name, he's not as, let's call him, kingly, strong as his father. And everybody in the realm is kind of questioning, well, this guy isn't really king material. I don't know. He's kind of weak. He's kind of soft. I don't know, bro. And guess what? After a while, they get Maegor the Cruel. And everybody's going crazy. Maegor the Cruel is too cruel, right? So, you know, while you're reading this, you can plainly see that no matter what kind of ruler sits on the Iron Throne, everybody has something to say about it. Nobody is satisfied. Everybody has something to criticize, right? Either the king is too weak, he's too soft, he's a green boy, blah blah blah. He'll bring the kingdom to ruin, or my God, he's just a maniac and he'll kill us all. I mean, you can't have everything, bro. Chill out. You know, work with what you have, right? And I think that the seven kingdoms, well, the six kingdoms, because Dorne wasn't part of the seven kingdoms yet, but the realm got exactly what it deserved when it comes to Maegor the Cruel. Maegor the Cruel, in my view, did nothing wrong. He only defended himself from, you know, one of the real enemies of the realm, which is, of course, the Guild of Maesters, those motherfuckers, right? And even the faith of the Seven. Because these two factions are, I mean, they're just the real power, right? Who sits on the Iron Throne isn't really that important, right? The Maesters and the Faith, they are the backbone of the realm, period. They are the ones who do all the machinations behind the scenes. They are the ones who make all of the decisions behind closed doors, okay? And listen, it's such a testament that all of these noble houses in the realm, it's such a testament how stupid they are, right? Because it's obvious. The Guild of Maesters has its origins in Old Town. In Old Town, the high towers are the big cheese, right? And all of these noble houses, they get a maester from this Guild of Maesters in Old Town. And what do we find out while we're reading Fire and Blood? Is that all of these maesters are a bunch of snitches. They're a bunch of snake in the grass because they are writing like daily biographies of what these, you know, of what these lords and ladies are doing, and they're sending ravens to the Guild of Maesters in Old Town. They're a bunch of snitches. They're spies, right? And that's so smart when it comes to the Maesters, right? Just send your people everywhere and receive information on a daily basis, right? It's basically like they have CCTV all over the realm, right? With a bit of lag because it takes a bit of time for the ravens to come, right? And nobody ever looks around and say, "Hey, yo, these maesters are kind of sus, bro," right? And when you really look at it, it seems like the Greyjoys are the only people that kind of, rejected these maesters on principle, right? But they still got maesters because, having a maester is a sign of wealth and power and whatever, which it's such brilliant brainwashing on the maester's part, Oh, you're a noble house, you're a lord or a lady, and you don't have a maester? Ooh, that's kind of, I don't know about that. Maybe you should do something about that. I mean, everybody has a maester, bro. What are you doing? That's kind of yikes, right? And they brainwashed everybody with this propaganda, and now every noble house in Westeros has a goddamn spy with chains, right? And you can plainly see in this book that these motherfuckers are writing little notes about these people that they are spying on, and they're sending these notes back to Old Town. I mean, it's so obvious, right? This is something major that I want to talk about. We're going to go right to the Dance of Dragons because, like I said, most of these characters are absolutely superficial in my view because we're always kept at a distance from them. We're never really close in the nitty-gritty, right? When it comes to the Dance of Dragons, okay, nobody is right. Everybody is a fool. It seems like they got tricked by the maesters and the faith to kill each other to get rid of the dragons. And these new trailers popped up now with Team Green and Team Black. I'm not supporting either of these because they seem absolutely silly. These two factions, they do not deserve to rule because they're extremely selfish, right? And Rhaenyra is portrayed as this victim of sorts, as this underdog. Oh boy, poor Rhaenyra. And what happens when she finally claims the Iron Throne for a short period of time? What happens? The moment she conquers King's Landing and takes the Iron Throne, her hand institutes such ludicrous taxes that they basically the taxes are insane. They're illogical, and Rhaenyra doesn't do anything to stop this. Listen, to anyone who wants to be some sort of leader of any kind, taxes aren't it. The moment you institute more taxes is a pretty sure way of getting yourself assassinated and starting a revolution. It's plainly simple. And listen, to add even more insult to injury, right? There isn't a single moment when Rhaenyra shows any type of sympathy, empathy, care, or consideration for her people in the realm, for the small folk. She doesn't care about the people in King's Landing. She doesn't care about any of her people, of her leal subjects from the small folk. There is not a single line, a single sentence where she cares about the small people, about the peasants. Nobody in Team Black or in Team Green cares about the peasants. And that is why they're not fit to rule. None of these people have endearing qualities. They're not fit to rule. They will not be good rulers. Period. So, so in my view, this nonsense about, oh, Team Green or Team Black, Team Alicent or Team Rhaenyra, fuck all these people. They're all trash, period. I mean, it's so obvious. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. And listen. The TV show House of the Dragon, they tried their best to insert some sort of characterization and to insert some sort of personality when it comes to these characters. They tried their best, and they succeeded in some instances, and in other instances they didn't succeed. But at least they tried to do something. In this book, nobody has any personality, period. Okay? Period. And listen, the show did what it could. It took what it had and tried to improve upon it, which is admirable, right? But the show isn't something outstanding, right? And this is, I guess, what I have to say. I wish that instead of having to read, books like Fire and Blood and A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms and having to watch House of the Dragon, I wish that I could read The Winds of Winter instead. Yeah, that would be nice. And listen. When it comes to the Dance of the Dragons, oh my god, we have this cast of characters, oh my god. You think, oh my god, what's this guy's name? Otto Hightower, you think this guy fucks. Okay, now he gets decapitated, no problem, he gets killed, whatever. And you think Aemon and Daemon, oh boy, this fucking rivalry between the Chads of Chaddington. Oh my god, you think these two are fucking crazy. No, they die. They die just like that. There's nothing really to them. You think, oh my god, Daemon is this rogue prince, he's a rebel, but he still cares and respects and is loyal to his brother Viserys. Nah, he just dies. He just dies. And oh boy, Aemon with his one eye, his sapphire eye, oh boy, he has that blood raven in him. And now he just dies. He just dies. And his big ass dragon Vhagar, oh boy, the biggest fucking dragon ever. Now that dragon dies too. Right? And you think, oh boy, Larys Strong, who is like a combination of Varys and Littlefinger. This guy is just the ultimate sneaky bastard. He always has plans. Whenever danger comes, he always hides. And then when danger goes away, he just comes out of the woodwork and he takes advantage of every opportunity. And he's so mysterious. And Larys Strong just gets executed like the rest. Gets decapitated. Yeah, there's really nothing to him. Okay? With his clubbed foot. Right. Who else? What's that guy's name? Oh, fuck, I forgot his name. We need to talk about this guy. What is his name? Oh yeah, and Corlys Velaryon, the Lord of Driftmark, this epic sailor who undertook like 7 or 9 epic voyages. He went where nobody else went, and he had all of these crazy adventures and all of these fucking all of these discoveries. He went in all of these forbidden lands, and now he just dies. He just dies. There's really nothing to him. And oh boy, our good boy Viserys the First, in the show. In the show, they really tried to make him sympathetic to the audience, or with his disease and what have you, and that scene where he kind of limps toward the Iron Throne for the last time. Like in the book, he's a know-nothing character. He's not even one-dimensional. And he just dies. He just dies because he kind of has high blood pressure or something. And let's not forget about our boy, the greatest Chad of them all, Sir Kristen Cole. And you think, oh boy, Sir Kristen Cole, this fucking beefcake. And oh boy, she has this fucking like this grudge against Rhaenyra because I don't fucking know what happened. And you think, oh boy, this guy Kristen Cole, he's something's gonna happen, some crazy shit. No, he just dies. He like somebody shoots a couple of arrows and he just dies. Right? There's really nothing to him. Right? Sir Kristen Cole. And this is the custom, the tradition, the way the cookie crumbles with a lot of these so-called epic characters. Then you think, oh my god, these characters, oh my god, there's some crazy shit going on. They're so epic. No, they just get executed. You know, they just get executed. Pretty much by beheading, most of them. Right? There's really nothing to them. Not really. Right? And another thing, listen. After I read the main books, the main series, the 5 books, like I probably watched like almost every lore video and theory video out there when it comes to A Song of Ice and Fire. For years, right? And I've kept hearing all this, and I kept hearing these whispers and this praise about, oh, you know, blood and cheese. This one scene where George Martin goes fucking ultra dark. And it's probably the darkest scene ever written in A Song of Ice and Fire. Oh boy, blood and cheese. Oh my god, it's fucking, it will make you want to vomit. That's how edgy it is, right? And I'm reading this Blood and Cheese. I'm reading this Blood and Cheese. It's like a paragraph or two, and I'm reading this, and I'm like, huh? I'm not really that impressed. Huh? What? Blood and Cheese. And listen, I understand the context and the subtext. I understand the surrounding and the circumstances. You know, it is dark. It is dark. Blood and Cheese is dark when you really think about it, because the mother has to watch her kid getting executed in front of her eyes, you know. But to me, you know, maybe I'm just jaded. But it's really not that impressive. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's subjective. But to me, Blood and Cheese is not that amazing. It's not that dark even. I don't know. I don't know what people are talking about, right? And of course, there has been this speculation that season 2 of House of the Dragon will start a cold open with Blood and Cheese. And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever, bro. Whatever. You know, the darkest scene ever written, probably. I don't know. Sure, yeah, sure, whatever, bro. Right? And then there's Queen Alicent, and she fucking, I don't know. Does she get executed or does she die? I don't remember. Right? And I've started to notice this pattern with George Martin. I don't know if he does it intentionally or if it has a purpose, or maybe it's trying to hint at Ashara Dane. But bro, how many fair maidens just jump out of a tower and fall on spikes in this book? But because I think I counted at least 5. Right? Just how many bitches just jump out of a tower and die on spikes in this book alone? It's crazy. Like, what is this? Is this a lack of imagination? I don't know. And of course, listen. There is this discussion about, oh boy, poor Rhaenyra. She can't be queen because she's a woman, and the realm just can't handle that. The realm is basically comprised of incels, and a lot of them think that a woman ruling on the Iron Throne will spell disaster because women are trash, apparently, right? And of course we also have what's her name? Rhaenys, Viserys's sister or cousin, you know, the queen that never was, the wife of Sir Corlys Velaryon. Yeah, she got slighted in favor of Viserys because she was a woman, and the realm can't handle women in charge, you know, because women are trash apparently. And listen, this is pure logic. This is not some sort of sexist rant. Listen. This is you need to understand certain things. Right? When it comes to this world, a feudal medieval world, men are the ones who have fought and defended and protected. Men are the ones who have built and put themselves out there. Men are the ones who have risked, you know, their lives. Men are the ones who have acquired the knowledge and the combat skill. Men are the ones who had to go out there and bleed and lose limbs and get mutilated to bring back wealth and shit, to make something of their families, right? In this world, in this context, men have always been the ones who have done shit, okay? Who have done shit for thousands and thousands of years, right? Thousands and thousands of years. Only men have done this. And now, all of a sudden, poor Rhaenyra wants to be queen of everybody. And I'm like, why? Why should I allow you? Like, what do you bring to the table? You know, I understand that it is a bit bigoted with prejudice. You know, it's obviously sexist, but in the context of the world, why should these men allow a woman to be in charge all of a sudden after thousands and thousands of years of only men doing shit, right? And I mean, even a lot of women are like, wait, a woman on the Iron Throne? I don't know about that. That's kind of sketchy. That's kind of sus, and I'm a woman too, right? So even a lot of women in this world are like, a woman leader? Hells nah, bro. You crazy? Right? And it's not because not because women are weaker or dumber or whatever. It's because men have always been the ones who have done shit. Right? And after everything has been built, after all the enemies have been defeated, after the knowledge and the wealth have been acquired, after there's nothing left to fight for and risk and etc., now women want to be in charge. And I'm like, shit, I would be the same too. I would be like, you know, fuck off, bro. Right? And this is, and I'm going to make a segue to good Queen Alysanne, because remember, good Queen Alysanne, she went to Old Town, to the Guild of Maesters, and she was like, hey, listen, bro, listen. There are a lot of second daughters out here from noble houses who are competent and who are good and smart and they know how to read and they have good brains. And she proposes, why don't you let these women into the Guild of Maesters? And even I was just like, what? Right? I mean, even the archmaesters, the big boys in the Maesters Guild are like, they are flabbergasted. They're like, bro, what are you talking about? This is a brotherhood for a reason, right? First of all, it's a brotherhood, not a sisterhood, okay? And the same thing can be said about the Guild of Maesters. For thousands and thousands of years, they are the ones who have acquired all of the knowledge, who have gone everywhere and done experiments and have acquired all of the scrolls and the books and brought them back and shared their knowledge. You know, they are the ones who have built this grand citadel, this beacon of knowledge. And after the last brick has been set in stone, after an ocean of knowledge has been acquired, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, women should be allowed. And I'm just like, why? Why should we? Like, my response to this is, How about you go over there and you build your own clubhouse and you can be the queen there and you can do whatever you want there. Don't come to my shit. Because all of this, you see all of this? I made all of this, not you. Right? And this is not some sexist rant, guys. You need to operate on logic and you need to understand the context of this fictitious world in which men do most of the shit. And if men do most of the shit and men risk their lives, right, every single day, why should they be sympathetic and understanding and accepting of women all of a sudden? Right? After thousands of years of just men being mutilated time and time again to protect, to defend, to provide, all of a sudden women want to join. Well, if women want to join, they should join the ranks of the military first. And they should go out there and fight for what is theirs, right? Right? And that's just me. Hopefully nobody will be offended. And hopefully nobody will assume that I'm a misogynist just because I operate on logic. I operate on facts, folks. If you can't see the truth in what I'm saying, I mean, yeah. And I can see the other side, too. Yeah, it's tough for a lot of women in this fictional world. Of course it is. But what do you expect? What do you expect? Right? And of course there is this trend in this book where, dragon eggs, they just disappear. Dragon eggs are stolen time and time again, and nobody knows who really done it, and nobody knows where these dragon eggs end up. And I'm just like, yo, what's George Martin cooking right now? Because if you've read A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, in the last novella, a dragon egg disappears as well. A dragon egg is stolen. And here, what's her name? Alice Flowers, I think her name is, something like that. She steals 3 dragon eggs. And she just fucking disappears. And nobody ever finds out what happened to her. And I'm like, are these the 3 eggs that finally find their way to Dany? I don't know. And even a couple of dragons, they just disappear in this book, and we don't really know what happens to them. And I'm like, what's this all about? Is this setting up some sort of thing for the future where we find out that dragons are still out there somewhere, or dragon eggs are still out there? And I have to say this. For the longest time, I wasn't a fan of our boy Mushroom. Not at all. Not at all. I thought that this was just George R. R. Martin jerking off again, like usual. But after, reading a lot of this book, I finally started to like our boy Mushroom. And it seems to me like he is the only character that is actually fleshed out, the only character that has any sort of real personality, that has any real traits and characteristics, right? And that's crazy, because he's not even a secondary character, right? It's just crazy. So yeah, Mushroom for the win. Probably the best written character in this book, period. And it shows. It shows the author's mistake, because this shouldn't have been a historic chronicle that keeps us at a distance constantly from these characters. When it comes to these characters, we should have been balls deep in their business, period. We should have seen every intimate, private discussion. We needed to understand their thoughts. We needed internal monologues. We needed to see everything, right? This is what he does. This is what George R. R. Martin excels at. That is why the 5 books in the main series are so beloved worldwide, is because we're balls deep in the lives and the hearts of these characters. And in this, we're just like, stay away from me, bro. right? It is unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And I'll probably end the review with this, because this has to be said. I understand that what I'm going to criticize now, it is done so for the sake of plot convenience. I understand this, but it's still not acceptable. Because to me, it seems to me that most of these Targaryens are fucking stupid. They're fucking stupid. They're dumber than a sack of bricks. Right? Listen. So you're telling me that the Targaryen family fled Valyria before the Doom, and a couple of generations, they remained on Dragonstone for a couple of generations, right? And they took 3 dragons with them, one of them being Balerion the Black Dread. So for a couple of generations, these Targaryens on Dragonstone, they only had 3 dragons to show for it. And I'm like super suspicious. Like what is this? Now listen, especially when it comes to Aegon and his conquest, right? The moment he decided that he was going to conquer Westeros, his first mission should have been, okay, we need more Targaryens, so we need to fuck like crazy, like rabbits, and secondly, we need to make sure that we have an army of dragons, bro. Like, we need to find out how these dragons fucking reproduce, okay? This should have been like, and you see it throughout Fire and Blood. These fucking Targaryens, they keep jerking off about these dragons and dragons, blood of the dragon, fire of the dragon, Dragon Ball Z, and time and time again, they fail to see that without their dragons, they're absolutely nothing. Okay, I don't care just how badass of a fighter these characters are. Without their dragons, they're just average Joes on the field that can be killed. Okay? And this is why, I've been thinking about this for a long time, but to me it seems like without her dragons, Daenerys would be nothing, and nobody would follow her except her simps. I mean, this is facts. Listen, she's an amazing character, and I like her. She's one of my favorites, but without her dragons, she is nothing. The only reason all of these people and all of these factions follow her is because she has these fucking weapons of mass destruction at her behest. Okay? So these fucking Targaryens, from Aegon the Conqueror onward, it seems to me like they do everything in their power to destroy their legacy, to destroy their rulership, and to destroy their dragons, the only weapon that keeps them in power. Right? With the exception when it comes to the Dance of the Dragons, because we have a couple of dragons there. But of course we know that these dumbasses kill most of their dragons, so it doesn't count, right? What they should have done, these Targaryens, first of all, they should have had way more kids. Okay, they should have had, listen, every Targaryen pair should have had at least 20 kids before they were 40, right? At least one kid. And each of these kids should have had a dragon, okay? And of course, now we come to the second rule, is that they should have been hyper-focused on finding out how you make dragons reproduce like rabbits. And secondly, they should have found out how you hatch dragon eggs. And thirdly, they should have found out how you bind, a dragon to a dragon rider, what causes their bond. This should have been their one and only mission in life. Because listen, the Targaryens are colonizers. Okay, they are foreigners. They don't belong here, and it's obvious to me that most people don't like them for obvious reasons. The small folk don't like them, and the noble houses don't like them. They don't belong here. They're outsiders. Okay, and they came here with force, and they burned a lot of people. Okay, a lot of families were destroyed in the conquest. So, because Aegon gets so much praise as this fucking great, battle intellectual, right? He is just a great general in general, right? And you're telling me this guy didn't consider the fact, oh shit, we had 3 dragons, Rhaenys died and her dragon died, now we have only 2 dragons left. Oh shit, we need more dragons, bruh. We need more dragons, bruh. We need to stop this nonsense with Dorne and regroup, and we need more dragons, and we need more Targaryens. Right? And to make matters worse, to prove that these Targaryens are dumber than a sack of bricks, what did they do? When Maegor comes up, he just decides to build this grand dragon pit. And it is plainly obvious that dragons do not do well, under a roof in confinement. It's not healthy for them. Dragons do not do well in secluded in underground confined places. They don't eat as well, they're not as healthy, and they get depressed, and the next or succeeding generations of dragons get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Right? So it is plainly obvious from day one that dragons aren't meant to be pets locked up under a roof from day one. And these dumbass Targaryens whose rulership relies solely on the basis of these dragons intimidating people, they don't realize, oh boy, this is not good for us, bro. We need to let these dragons loose. I understand that this is for the sake of plot convenience, but it's so dumb. It's so dumb on their part. The only reason the Targaryens are kings and queens is because of these dragons that are intimidating people. And the first thing they do after they conquer this land is to put a leash on their dragons and put them in a pen, which doesn't do them any good. Oh boy, like these Targaryens are dumb. And to make matters worse, it's not enough that they keep losing dragons. It's not enough that they lose members of their family for various reasons. No, they have to engage in infighting. And because of this, they lose even more members of their family. They lose potential dragon lords. And because of this, they might even lose potential dragons. And I'm looking at these fucking people and I'm like, bro, you're dumb. You're dumb. You shouldn't be kings and queens. You people belong in flea bottom. Listen, if I was a Targaryen king, the first rule that I would institute would be, if you're a Targaryen of my family, of my bloodline, and you're engaging in petty squabbles and petty little, back and forths, and you're just jelly of each other, and you're just insulting everybody, and it might lead to bloodshed, you're gonna lose your titles, you're gonna lose your rights, you're gonna lose your dragons, you're gonna be exiled forever, bro. Fuck off, right? This would be my first rule as king of the Seven Kingdoms. This is what I would have done if I were Aegon the Conqueror. You engage in any sort of bickering, infighting, you're gonna lose everything. Fuck off, right? The Targaryens are outsiders. It's pretty obvious that everybody around them wants to assassinate these fuckers. They want these fuckers gone, right? High towers included, maesters included, septons included, noble families included, even the peasants, the small folk included. They want to get these people out of here. but they can't because of the dragons. And these people, instead of focusing on making more Targaryens and assuring that they have an army of dragons, they lose it all. They lose it all. You know, and I guess the great irony of this is that, you know, throughout their lineage, the Targaryens are so obsessed with dragons. You know, they read all about dragons and prophecies, and oh boy, you know, there's that guy that drinks dragon fire and he dies, and the Mad King Aerys was obsessed with dragons, and Aegon V, you know, set Summerhall ablaze, and all of these Targaryens are so fucking obsessed with dragons. They want more and more dragons. And they lose it all. Just the same. It's so hilarious to me. Fuck these Targaryens are dumb. Targaryens are dumb. Okay? You know, listen, the book is whatever. It's cute. There are certain Easter eggs. There are certain mysteries. There might be some implications in the future, you know. But I don't really care about any of this. And House of the Dragon is a neat show. I don't really care for it. They tried to do their best with what they had with the, you know, with the material, and they tried their best, and they did some good, and they did some bad. But I'm not that invested. I'm not that involved in Fire and Blood and House of the Dragon. I would much rather like to finally read The Winds of Winter. Because the same with Duncan and Egg and all of these other materials from A Song of Ice and Fire. All of these things are side quests. They are distractions. And most importantly, all of these goddamn characters are dead. They're done for. They're done and dusted. They don't matter anymore. What I care about is Jon Snow, Jaime, Tyrion, Arya, you know, Lady Stoneheart, because they're still alive. Well, some of them, right? All of these characters, like, they're dust. They don't matter. They don't matter at all. Okay? It's cute. It's neat. But that's about it. Okay? That's about it. You know, and, how to end this video? You know, poor rhaenyra. Like, she gets eaten by a dragon, you know, set on fire and eaten alive. Which is tough. You know, like, I felt bad for her. But I wasn't really on her side. I didn't really care about her. I didn't really care about any of these characters, with the exception of Jaehaerys I. And that is a major problem when a reader can't relate to any of these characters, especially when bad stuff happens to them, right? All of these characters, especially when it comes to Team Black and Team Green, pretty much all of them get fucked in the end. Pretty much. There are no winners here, period. You know, I don't care about any of them. And what fate befalls them. It's such a tragedy. It's such a tragedy. And listen, the greatest tragedy of all, in my view, is that instead of focusing on finishing or polishing The Winds of Winter, George R. R. Martin decided to write this. And he decided to write Donkey and Eggy. And God knows what else. Instead of focusing on the actual story and the actual characters that all of us care about, he decided to write this. And guess what? He is actually contemplating about writing a part 2 to Fire and Blood. It's, that's about it. If you enjoy this content, if you want to support your boy, I got a few books of my own on Amazon. The link will be down below. Thanks for watching. Keep on reading good books, and see ya.